let's make a 2 colour solid granny square. So we're not fastening the yarn off after each round. We're going to carry the colour we're not using up to the next round. So this is actually following the same sequence as my 3 round solid granny square, except here I've got a 5 round motif, but of course you could do any number of rounds that you like. I'm using fingering weight yarn with a 3.5mm hook, but of course you could use any weight of yarn with the corresponding hook size. So for double knit you might want to use a 4mm, and then for worsted you might want to use a 4.5 worsted or Aran. So I'm going to start off with a slip knot loop on our hook. Then we're going to chain 4, and we're going to join in the first chain with a slip stitch. And if you're still struggling with this starting ring, remember, don't touch the tail. If you keep holding the tail and pulling the tail, you will close up your ring and you'll never get into it. Only hold the chain and do your best not to touch that chain, not to touch that tail. You should have a nice little ring like that. Then you're going to chain 4 or chain 5. Now this is completely dependent on your own personal gauge. What we've got going on here, really, technically in a textbook it should be chain 5, because you've got 3 doubles counting as 3 chains counting as 1 double or a UK treble, and a chain 2 counting as the corner, because this is a multi-purpose chain. However, whenever I do that, and a lot of my students do the chain 5, we end up with the first corner being massive and not matching the other. So I always do a chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can do a 4 or 5, whatever works best for you. I'm going to actually catch the tail in. You don't have to do this, but I like to do that because then it means I can tighten up the ring if I want to. I'm going to put 4 double crochets or 4 UK trebles into the ring. So that's yarn over into the ring. You've got 3, yarn over, draw off 2, yarn over, draw off 2. This motif, the first round, we have got 4 stitches on each side. So we've got our funny long chain there. We've got 4 stitches. We've got chain 2 for a corner. Then we've got another 4 for the next side, 4 doubles or 4 UK trebles. That's 3. That's 4. Chain 2 for the next corner. And then another 4 doubles or 4 UK trebles for our third side. And then chain 2, and we're going to finish off this last side. We're going to steal some of the chain that we started with, so we actually only need to put 3 in here, because I'm going to nick 3 of these chains. 1, 2, third one is there. Remember, it's always on a bend. Make sure you're following tops of the stitches round, front loop, back loop of the chain, slip stitch. So that's why I've caught the tailing, because you can see I can pull that nice and tight now. So at the end of round 1 you should have 4 sides. Each one has got 4 stitches and chain 2s in the corner. Now I'm going to switch colour. I'm going to get your second colour. Make sure this colour that you've dropped, that you drop it to the left. Get your new colour, go into the first chain space and pull up a loop. Now that loop is going to carry on through the live loop of the opposite colour. Pull the previous colour nice and tight, and then you're going to chain 1. Now don't do that too tight, because this is now going to be starting off as your first corner. You've done a chain 1. Get the other colour, which was on the left, remember, and pass it over to the right, but make sure it's gone over the top of the working yarn. Between the hook and the working yarn is where it goes. Then you're going to chain another 2, so that you've got a total of 3. Give that chain a little gentle pull again, because we want it to be nice and neat. Now you're going to pass it back the other way, so it's going over the working yarn between the hook, and do your last chain for chain 4. If you do a chain 5, you'll do another chain now, but as I said, I'm doing a chain 5 now. You're going to ignore the previous colour, because basically what we've done is we've caught it up the back of that chain so that it's ready to use for the next round. So I'm going to start the next side. I'm going to put 2 doubles or 2 UK trebles in the ring, and actually while I'm at it, where I've just joined that colour, the new colour, I'm going to crochet around the tail. You don't have to do that, you can sew it in later. The only thing you do have to do is the colour you're not using, make sure you're carrying it up the back of the starting chain. Okay, I've put 2 in the corner. Now 1 into each of the next 4 stitches. 1 double or 1 UK treble. Here you've got 4. Next up, a full corner. So I'm putting 2, chain 2, 2, 1 into each of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Full corner, which is into the chain 2 space. I'm putting 2 doubles, 2 chains, 2 doubles, 1 into each of the next 4 stitches. Full corner, straight in the chain 2 space with 2. I've got a very good free flow of yarn. Chain 2, 2, 1 into each of the last 4, and 2, and 3. The 4th one will be into the slip stitch that you use to finish off the round. That'll be your 4th stitch. And now you're going to finish off this corner. So you've only made a partial corner there, and it needs to match the other corners. So we've got a chain 4, of which 3 we're going to use as a stitch. We've got chain 1, which we're going to use as our corner space, and then we've got 2. So in order for this corner to match the others, we need 1 more double back in that first corner. Count your 3 chains, go into the 3rd one, and slip stitch. So this is what you've got at the end of round 2. So we're now going to switch to the next colour. So pick up, make sure your previous colour is to the left, pick up the new colour and slip stitch into the corner with the new colour. Pull the old colour gently. Chain 1 with the new colour. Take the old colour, pass it over the working yarn and between the hook. Chain 2. Pass the other colour back the other way. Chain 1 or 2 depending on your preference. Making sure you're using the new colour. You can give the old colour a slight pull. You only want to pull it gently so that it sort of hides behind the chain. You don't want to pull it too tight because you will end up puckering your work. So again, now we just do the same thing again. 2 in the corner, 1 into each of the next 8. A full corner, which is 2, chain 2, 2, 1 into each of the next 8. Being careful not to skip the first stitch by accident. Sometimes when you make the increase in the corner, it can overlap the first stitch and then you end up losing a stitch and getting a wonky motif, or one couple of sides shorter than the other, and then they won't join up properly. Full corner in the chain 2 space, so that's 2 doubles, 2 UK trebles, chain 2, another 2 doubles, UK trebles, 1 into each of the next 4. One into each of the next 8. Don't know what I said. Did I say 4? Can't remember now. In the chain 2 corner, 2 double, 2 chain, 2 double. One into each of the next 8 for the last side. Not the last side, the last 8 stitches of this side. Didn't get much sleep last night. Right, finish off this first corner or last corner, whichever way you want to see it. You need to just whack one more stitch in that corner. Find the third chain, 1, 2, treat the chain like a normal stitch, front loop, back loop. So don't just go through the middle of it. You need to treat the chain like a normal stitch. It should look like a normal stitch on your hook. Slip stitch. Okay. I'll switch colours again, and then I think from that you've got the general gist of it. You can just carry on in the same sequence. I'm making a 5 round motif, so I'll start this next round, show you how to do that, then I'm going to get going and I'll show you how to finish the round. So again, remember, when you drop your old colour, the colour you're not going to use anymore, you drop it to the left, then you pick up your new colour, you go into the chain space and you pull up a loop. That loop you carry on pulling through, i.e. you've done a slip stitch, pull the old colour gently, chain 1, the old colour goes over the working yarn and between the hook, and you do another 2 chains, then the old yarn goes back the other way, and then you either do 1 or 2 chains depending on if you're doing a chain 4 or a chain 5. Then you do 2 in the corner, same corner, and then 1 into each other side. So I'm going to go ahead now and do another 2 rounds, and I'll show you what to do when we come to fasten off. And of course, as I said before, you can make this any size you like. Obviously wouldn't be much point in just doing 2 rounds or 3 rounds, but you know, if you decided to go bigger than 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever. Actually, I've got one I can show you. I haven't sewn the ends in, but here's one where I've done a lot more rounds, and that's all just done with carrying the yarn up the back of the chain and not having to weave in loads and loads of ends. So I'm just finishing off this last round of my motif. Last stitch always goes in the slip stitch, or last stitch of the side, and then last stitch goes in the corner. Yikes. And then again, I'm finding I did carry the colour up there, even though technically I've finished with that now. I've got 1, 2, 3, slip stitch, join, cut both yarns, yarn over. You can actually yarn over and draw off both if you want, or just one of them. Depends what you're doing next, really. I'm probably going to join these together with another border. So this is a solid granny square, 2 different colours. I suppose you call it a striped solid granny square, and we've carried, so it actually looks pretty neat on the wrong side. I mean, you can still, if you're, you know, a bit of a fussed pot, you'll be able to see the other colour very slightly. but I think in terms of, you know, I'm happy, you know, I can live with that compared to having to sew in all those ends. So I'm going to go ahead and sew in, I've only got 4 ends instead of what would we have had, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, you know, so significant difference there.